Welcome to the 5D Codes podcast. We're going to dive into what it is like to truly, completely love thyself. That quote, I think it was Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true," speaks of volumes. And when it says "to thine own self be true" in drive me crazy when I was an English major in college because I struggled with Shakespeare. I struggled with Old English classes. But there's a resonance behind it. And I'm going to talk Shakespeare for a moment because he channeled the heartbeat, the iambic pentameter, right? The way that Shakespeare is written, it's like boom, 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 boom. It follows the heartbeat rhythm. Iambic pentameter is beautiful poetry. So you don't even have to understand it. And that's what really helped me as an energy person. Why did I become an English major undergrad? I started out as a psychology major because, of course, I wanted to fix everyone. And I'm a deep analyzer, right? I like to analyze the human experience. Well, English fits in with that really well. A lot of people that were studying English were joint majors or had a psychology minor. I started out psychology major and then was an English minor, and then I flip-flopped. I didn't like the research aspect of psychology, but it's one and the same because when we would write papers about books and stories and, poetry in English classes, we would psychoanalyze characters, right? We would psychoanalyze the story. So people that love literature are natural psychologists, are natural deep thinkers, as far as excavating the human experience. What is this life that we're living? What is this simulation that we're experiencing? Yes, we are Neo, and I'm going to come back to the Matrix, and we are constantly co-creating our story. I'm going to answer another question here, or are we? Are we? So what does it mean for "to thine own self be true"? It doesn't mean, now we're going to bring in Lord of the Rings, that you become Gollum and you become obsessed with your ego, right? Gollum's attachment to the ring, this material possession. That's just like our attachment to the ego avatar. Like, oh my gosh, I have to put out this image. That's called a mask. I have to, show the world that I'm this, right? When inside I feel like complete hell, right? Inside I feel completely broken. And a lot of us are experiencing this right now, which is why I'm recording it. So I'm going to talk dream again. I'm still in the Catskills, 17-day trip that my daughter and I are experiencing. It's a grid work mission, as all my travels are, as life is, because we're constantly really just communing with our environment. That's what grid work is. Communing with the land, communing with the people, with the animals, communing with the energy within ourselves and the energy in the external environment. It's not a complicated thing. Just like Shakespeare isn't complicated when you break it down into energetic form. The iambic pentameter, the heartbeat of the world, is a rhythm, is a frequency, right? When we start to use our intellectual mind, and that's where I would get tripped up, and this is what school does to you, right? It's all about using the intellect. It's not about using the heart. So I had to deprogram myself after college, and I don't feel like this new generation is going to be embodying this let's go to college kind of mentality. I'm not pushing that on my daughter because I don't feel like that was relevant to me. By the time I finished, I was in my senior year. I'd already lost two significant people. My grandmother, my sister died while I was in my undergrad experience, sophomore year and junior year. And I had to take semesters off to process the grief. I was able to learn to think so deeply that I realized I don't want to be a cog in the machine. I don't want to be sitting in a cubicle, working for the Matrix, running on this hamster wheel. I definitely got sidetracked, right? It wasn't a straight and narrow path, but because I jumped into the Matrix here and there because I had to so-called make a living. Fear-based thoughts pushed me into that, but it was something that my soul obviously needed to experience. But I remember my last semester in college, I had a professor that just got me to pull myself out of the deep intellectual thinking, because that's when I would pull my hairs out and stress over papers, right? And feel like the self-critic would kick in and, oh, I'm not enough. I need to, get more creative thoughts. Without saying it in words, he said it in, through like, I guess, empathic connection, because he was very tuned into my empathic nature as well. Just read with your heart, see with your heart, and write from that place, right? And so I was able to like add more poetry into literature papers. And that's what shifted my perception, even of Shakespeare. I can sit and listen to a play and not understand a damn thing and feel the energy of it, And I do feel like now, honestly, Shakespeare is not 5D. There's a lot of 3D codes in there, right? It's tragedy. It's loss, like needing soulmate to complete you, right? But then the unrequited love, like Romeo and Juliet. There is a lot of ego drama. But he did have the energy of the 5D with the iambic pentameter. And even as I share in this podcast form, it's not about what I'm saying. It's the energy behind it, right? I just had a huge activation last night. We're coming into this eclipse, and I'm recording this on September 3rd. There's been a lot of abundance codes coming in. Physical abundance is something that I've had a hard time accepting in my life. And I sent out an email newsletter the other day where I did share, like, hey, I'm open to receiving donations, because I have, it's funny, I moved my scarf a little bit and there was a little slap in the air. I look at everything as meaningful. Okay. So like that was my spirit saying, yeah. And I have a Venmo link. I have a PayPal link, right? You can donate to my podcast link up on my RSS feed. There's something on my YouTube. There's something on my Linktree. And nobody donated after I sent out the email, which was interesting because I was processing that today. I was like, wow, sometimes it doesn't come directly. I did free sound baths this summer. And if people really wanted to donate, there were a couple people that were like feeding into this shame and guilt complex. Like, oh, you should be accepting. I'm like, I am always open to donations, because if you really want to find me, you can go to my Linktree and see that. But in those moments when I was sharing those sound baths on this land, Highland Park in Rochester, New York, I was literally offering it as a gift. And so many people, when they feel shame, it's their own stuff. It's their difficulty receiving. And trust me, I've been there, and I do feel like I can say now I've been there, because that was a past pattern. So here is the cool story connected to opening up to your embodying your soul mission without apology. It's time to stop apologizing for being yourself, my friend. And what is this true self-love? So the St. Teresa codes came to me, and this could offend some Catholics, and, take it as you will. But I was raised in the Catholic tradition. My middle name is Teresa, after St. Teresa of Avila, the Saint of the Roses, right? She is said to, when people pray the novena, which is a 9-day prayer, they, a sign that she has listened and answered your prayer. And I have tingles on my left side, the divine feminine side, as I'm saying this. So there's a powerful activation here. Roses will come into your life. And this happened to me once. It can come as a real rose, a fake rose, a sign or symbol of a rose, right? I was in the Dollar Tree. It was around Valentine's Day, and I had prayed the novena for something. I was having some stressor in my life, right? And my mom reminded me, Sarah, you're very, very connected to St. Teresa. And Sarah, my name Sarah is after Sarah and Abraham in the Old Testament. All my siblings have biblical names: Rachel, Matthew, and Rebecca. My brother is New Testament, right? My sisters are Old Testament like me. So I'm standing in the Dollar Tree, and you know how they have at the end of the register, they will offer you things. Sometimes they're trying to get rid of product or whatever. Well, they had these fake roses, and this gentleman was standing in front of me and checking out, and the woman was like, "Would you like a rose?" And he looks back at me. He's like, "Sure." He gets the rose and he hands it to me. He says, "Here you go. Happy Valentine's Day." And I was like, my heart jumped. I was like, it was the 9th day of this novena. Okay. And I still have, to this day, I have that fake rose. And I was like, oh my God, Spirit, that's so cool. I'm like tingling as I say it. Okay. So there's my, the beautiful connection with Saint Teresa. But when I was tapping into this message today and the rose came up, I felt the Saint Teresa energy and what she embodied. Why was she sainted? If you look at Saint Teresa, the newer Saint Teresa, like there was another Teresa, right, that died more recently. She was skin and bones, the new Saint Teresa. Skin and bones. She lived in India. She worked in orphanages. She was constantly feeding people. But the woman barely ate herself, right? Now that is a true representation of that selflessness, that martyrdom that many religions speak to. I'm going to just speak to the Catholic religion because that's what the code that I'm tapping into and the one that I was clearing from my DNA. Now there's many positives, right? But there's also a dark energy and undercurrent under that church. Okay? If you really tap into the energy of it, and for me as an energy person without knowing the history of the popes, I went to Rome, visited a friend in Florence, Italy when I graduated undergrad. So there's more college connection here, and got to experience the energy of the Vatican. And man, there is a darkness there. I didn't even want to go into the catacombs. I went into the Vatican Museum, and I was so turned off by these big paintings of the popes. And wow, my right ear is ringing right now. So, okay, I hear you, whatever spirits are coming in right now. I'm saying this with love, all right? But the popes wearing all their jewels and these poor people kissing their hands with all these, bedazzled jewels on the popes. Now, the popes were known to have mistresses. They were known to have children, and they were hidden away in these underground, tunnels. This secret life, right? So there was this snakiness about it. Well, I'm going to bring that into this new Saint Teresa. I want to say Teresa of Avila. There's a few Teresas, and I could be wrong there. So, take it with a grain of salt always. But I'm bringing in that energy because, I was raised seeing videos of her giving and giving to these, Indian orphans and looking like skin and bones. And I remember thinking, and I struggled with anorexia when I was younger. What is this message that she's giving? The woman doesn't take care of herself, And it was constantly the message the media was sharing was, oh, she's so selfless. Oh, she's such a giver, right? So upon her death, she was sainted. True self-love means fill thy cup, feed thyself first, okay? You're not going to have it to give if you do not give to yourself first. This was a skewed code that was put out there intentionally. There's a lot of deception out there. You really have to wade through it. And a lot of the things, I would say 98% of the things media are sharing are deception for a reason. They do not want you to love yourself. They want you to go to college. They want you to get into debt, to go to school for something that you really don't love doing. And most people that graduate, I know for myself, by the time I graduated, I didn't want to work in the field of psychology. I didn't want to teach English as an English teacher. I wanted, honestly, to be self-realized. I wanted to step into fully knowing thyself. And that had nothing to do with a degree. Honestly, that piece of paper doesn't even exist in my reality anymore. I have lost both of my degrees over time. And loss does not happen by chance. I think it was my soul telling me, you don't need the master's, you don't need the bachelor's, this does not resonate with your soul frequency. And thus, I don't need them to show to anybody at this point, right? My soul mission is not about putting the degree on my wall and having somebody walk in and say, oh, okay, you're certified and qualified now, right? I'm no longer a therapist. I don't need that degree on my wall. But I had to walk through that path because, well, I needed to really live the deception, feel the truth, embody the truth in order to let it go. Many of us have to step into this experience. We need to experience it. And this is the starseed path. I really feel like we are deep feelers. So if you're listening to this and you don't even know what a starseed is, all good. You don't have to understand this intellectually. Your soul came here on a mission to understand what this human experience is like. And that means living both truth and untruth, right? In order to really embody truth, you have to know what it's like to embody deceit, okay? And this brings me to my dream last night. I've been clearing a lot of toxic relationship codes, a lot of toxic relationship patterns. I was in relationships with, I'm going to say it, full-on narcissists, and they were all addictive personalities, okay? Whether they had been addicted to alcohol, most of them were so-called in recovery as in they didn't drink anymore, but they still had addictive behaviors. They were or addicted to even a harder drug. I had one partner when this is actually my Reiki teacher. He was a profound Reiki teacher. Most people that are addictive personalities are profoundly spiritually gifted, which is why they're drawn to substances, because they're so hypersensitive. They don't know how to deal with their sensitivity, and thus they numb out, So he was a heroin addict at one point, detoxed himself, and in the bathroom, locked himself in the bathroom for 3 days, had a roommate, and he told his roommate, don't open the bathroom, whatever you do. And then he ended up going to William Brand's Reiki Center because he was living in Ohio at the time. So that's my Reiki lineage, the Usui lineage. And taking all the Reiki classes, becoming, what is the one past? He was Usui Reiki master, but then he also learned Tibetan Reiki and Karuna Reiki is what I want to, call it. He actually attuned me to that, but not officially. So I still, when I teach Reiki, I just teach the third level Usui tradition. But unofficially, I guess I'm a Karuna Reiki master as well. But all of that stuff, certifications, doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because it's just healing energy. Energy is energy. I don't care what you've been trained in. You're ultimately healing through your soul essence. You're drawing that life force energy in, and it's just energy. This is where letting go of that ego battle can be really therapeutic. It's like, okay, you can say, I know this type of healing, what is the angel healing that I resonated with for a while, and I wanted to learn it. And I guess Spirit didn't want me to learn it because I reached out to a teacher and she's like, no, you should try this method instead. And I guess that doesn't even matter. They're all the same thing. It's just packaged differently, right? It's like going from massage to acupuncture. You're going to get the healing experience. Your body, mind, heart, and spirit are going to receive some sort of healing codes. It's just going to feel different. It's packaged differently. So this dream last night, again, we're feeling this eclipse energy. I'm on new land, so I'm sensitive to, the energy here as well in the Catskills. And there's a semicircle of trees in the front of the house. And I have to take these dogs that I'm watching outside before bed. And I was walking through the trees and I just feel, it's dark and it's in a more off the grid spot. So I know when I was alone here, my daughter went away with her dad and half sister for a few days. There were a few moments where I felt a little eked out when I was in the house because it's a very old farmhouse. And outside amongst these trees though at night, I feel safe, and there is an energy with this semicircle of trees. I was researching it too. Pagans have plant them in certain ways for ritual and for safety and security. And it's interesting because my daughter picked up on this when we came here. She's like, Mom, I feel a positive energy with these trees. And it's not a full circle. It's just a semicircle in the front of the house. Really, really interesting. So the trees, the way my room is set up, they're right in front of my room. And I've been waking up the past couple of nights, like 3, 4 a.m. Last night was another 3, 4 a.m. wake up. I don't always remember my dreams, but usually when I go back to sleep, that's when I have that more potent dream. And that's what happened. The dogs actually wanted to go out early, so I let them out early in the morning and came back in, ended up falling back to sleep. And I had this dream about 2 people, this ex and this woman that I met in Mount Shasta. Both of them embodied this more narcissistic kind of parasitic connection, because I know when I feel that sense of when I'm around somebody when I say narcissist, somebody that's parasitic, they're very attached to their ego and they don't know how to do the work. They're constantly latching onto other people. I need a relationship to complete me, right? I need a job to complete me. I need money to make me feel better about myself. I need compliments and likes to make me feel better about myself. And I tend to feel really dirty, like something has rubbed me the wrong way, and I feel this like cringy energy, and I just can't let that person go from my consciousness. It does feel dirty. It's like my aura feels dirty or something. So when this ex was in the dream, and I've done a lot of clearing around this, because when I ended this relationship with this ex, I had, and I'm starting to sweat in my right armpit right now. So deep toxin clearing here. Your armpits, I just learned last night, are where you clear toxins from. And I always sweat in my right or left armpit when I'm going through this activation. So something to it. Again, nothing is on accident. Everything is meaningful. Don't discount anything, my friend. I'm not going to go into the whole dream, but just the crux of it was I got to see his deception, and I got to stop him before he gaslit me, around certain things, because he was like a moth to a flame. And so was this woman in Mount Shasta. Jumping side to side with these stories. This is my Gemini kind of ADD brain. Say ADD with love, because people understand that terminology. I was in Mount Shasta this past year, and, we attract energies that are alike, whether they are romantic or friend-like, because we're clearing these codes, right? And I was looking for a room to rent or a place to stay longer term, and I posted something on a Mount Shasta Facebook page. Now, when we put our energy out there, it is accessible, right? And I put this very light-filled post with a picture of me, and I talked about feeling like I was a Pleiadian starseed, and I was drawn to Mount Shasta for the Lemurian codes. And this post, not all the posts on this page, when people ask for a room or social connections, get a lot of likes. And this wasn't my ego. This was like my spirit saying, what? Had over 200 people, like it. And I realized when this woman contacted me, she's like, oh, I have a room. She's like, I was really feeling into your energy, and you have such a pure light. And I started to feel this like dirty, cringy energy, right? And then she talked about, being connected to the light, but also having ancestry and lineage that did dark magic. And she was very honest about that. I was like, whoa, okay, Sarah, be careful. And there were a couple other people that posted things, that shared comments with me, that I just felt like there was an energy like leeching happening. And after that, I feel my solar plexus respond to this, but I need to share it. I think I posted something else, and I deleted one of my posts, and then I put boundaries up on my energy field, and I said, nope, nobody is allowed to have access to my energy field. It was a necessary learning experience, because just like with this toxic ex that was in the dream, I thought at that point, I was still thinking the external was going to give me something, right? I thought Mount Shasta had codes for me. And now I know. A lot of the people that live in Mount Shasta too are leeching off that mountain. That there were not a lot of pure light-filled souls that I met, to be honest. I met a lot of people that were leeching, and that's the energy that was revealed to me there. That people are meant to come in and out of these energy portals on the earth for short periods of time, but those that end up living there lose something within themselves. They're essentially saying, I'm powerless. I don't know how to activate myself and embody my self-love really fully, my soul essence fully. So I'm going to continue to leech off of this high vibrational energy spot. Well, the mountain asks you to sacrifice something. So the mountain will end up, taking some of your personal power, or, taking some of your life force energy. And that's what I noticed. Because I met a woman that had written books, and I got an oracle deck from her, and even just the way she looked and acted in the here and now versus, the energy that I read off of her picture on her books from 20 years ago was muted, it just felt like it was depleted. And I realized that, wow, she doesn't, maybe unconsciously, giving this energy to the mountain because she feels like she can't continue to access it within herself. And we know that this is not or at least I know, so I'm sharing this with you, it's not coming from you, okay? This is what the self-love piece is all about. It's you and source. It's you and God. It's you and the universe. That's the only relationship that you have, okay? So your simulation is your Neo, and you realize everything else out there is a representation of the source within you, the source, the creator, God. Use the term that resonates most with your soul. Maybe none of the ones I've mentioned. It's all you, boo. It really is. And I have to bring lightness and humor into that too, right? Even the ego journey. So connected to this is the dream piece. It wasn't just this one ex. He lived right next door to another ex. And in real life, he actually does live a few doors down from another narcissist that I dated. And I have no shame in saying this now because it took me years to look at the narcissistic cycle. It is the codependent cycle. So if you're codependent, you can interweave those terms, okay? Addict and codependent, narcissist and empath, same. And we can weave in and out of both of these. I also want to mention that. So in the dream, I was house sitting at the other ex's place, the ex from a longer time ago. That ex was not present in the dream. The newer ex was. And I picked up on his manipulation, right? But I knew in real time, I couldn't speak up to him because when I did, I was constantly gaslit. It was constantly a power game. Okay, he knew I had this light. He was a moth to a flame, right? But then he would constantly try to mute my light, right? By manipulating me, by saying things that seemed, meaningless in the moment, but they would disempower me. Like, oh no, you're wrong about that. It was gaslighting. Oh no, that's not how it is. Oh no, I didn't do that. And in the dream, he hit a car. He hit my dad's car, actually. My dad, who's passed, for some reason, my dad's car was in his driveway, right? And I thought, didn't my mom inherit this car? Why is it in his driveway? And he made up a story about it. And he hit the car, and I heard the window shatter. And when I asked what happened, he said, nothing happened, like lying to my face, And I was like, okay, Sarah, do not get defensive. Do not respond back. You just have to protect your energy field right now. And it's interesting because a couple other things happened, and then I woke up soon after that. And I woke up, and this first message that I got was just protect your energy field right now. Now, in our relationship ended right around the time that I ordered this faucet for my sink. Okay, so this is where real time connects. It's a really cool story. And it was one of those sprayer hose faucets, and I couldn't put it in myself. And he kept touting, oh, I can do it for you, or I can have a friend do it. Like, he always acted like this, knight in shining armor. He would offer these things. He wouldn't always give them, or if he gave them, it was for a price, and he would feel resentful about it. Well, there was always strings. Like, well, now you owe me, right? There was a lunch that we went out to after an event that he hosted, and we were invited to go with a group of people for sushi, and it was going to be paid for by somebody. But I was feeling really exhausted and depleted, and it's like, I really don't want to be around a group of people. I'd rather be solo. So we went to a different restaurant by ourselves, right? He ended up paying for it, and I remember it was about $40-something, okay? Well, he held on to that. Now, I love chivalry. Like, if my partner wants to pay for lunch, I appreciate that, I'm old school that way. But if he's holding on to that grudge, and this is, again, what I attracted because I was having trouble receiving, then what is going on in me? Why am I feeling this guilt and shame about receiving this $40+ lunch? Well, he brought it up later, and we got into some kind of argument, and I don't know, I ended up eventually giving him the money, just saying, like, I just want to end this. I want peace. And this is the kind of stuff that I would do, and it would never feel like enough. I would constantly feel like when I try to make amends, another resentment builds up. And this is the cycle. This is the narcissist codependent cycle. Okay, so today I wake up to an email about this faucet that I bought in 2021. It said, the faucet has been recalled. And now he never installed the faucet. So this is the clincher. When I broke up with him, I was like, did think in my mind, Should I hang on to this relationship for a few days so he can put the faucet in? But no, I just said, my spirit said, nope, you stand in your power, girl. And let me tell you, I lost weight in that relationship. My skin looked pale. I was wan looking. As soon as I ended that connection, I started to feel my life force energy come back. That's a sign. That's such a powerful sign. When we disconnect from these people that are leeches, we start to feel empowered, whole, complete. Trust that. Trust that. The body never lies. So when the faucet never went in, I ended up moving a few months later, and I think I even tried to sell the faucet because I couldn't return it on Amazon at that point. Couldn't sell it. I think I gave it away. Now I hope nobody's using it because it was recalled. There was an issue with it, and apparently lead leaks out of it. Oh my gosh. So Amazon offered me a refund. I thought, holy Moses, I'm getting this today. And it wasn't just that. I noticed when I went to the link, there was another product, a sinus spray that I had ordered, ironically enough, when I was in another relationship with somebody that was a recovering addict, that I would constantly having sinus issues, and he had sinus issues. So it was like an empathic connection that I had. That product was also recalled. Called Amazon, got a refund for both of them. You wouldn't believe it. $44. And 44 has been coming up a lot too, so this is a code for you as well. Gotta love these double, triple, quadruple numbers. And that's an abundance code for me. The universe is giving me the money back, saying it was a blessing. There's a reason that's faucet didn't get it put in. So here's the message too. That thing that you're so annoyed that didn't happen because of XYZ is a blessing. You might not find out until a couple of years later, like I did today, right? And it also reminded me, because the date that I ordered it was like a week or two before I broke up with him. Okay, how long we've been disconnected. Wow. And I went on, my spiritual journey spun very deeply when I disconnected from that person. So most likely the cord cutting that you've done with these people in your life or jobs or situations is coming full circle now, right? That's the code that's in here. And then with the sinus spray, it added up to the $44. I was like, oh my God, there's that lunch money back too. The money that I gave him out of resentment. Nope. We're not meant to do anything from resentment or shame or guilt, right? How do you keep yourself in that positive, light-filled space? That is the self-love. That is the true Mother Teresa code. Nourish thyself first. Allow somebody to buy you lunch. And if they feel guilt and shame, I guarantee, you're not going to be attracting that at this point. But if they feel guilt and shame, that's theirs. That has nothing to do with you, right? When you start to embody this self-love, you're going to receive with grace. And so I thanked the universe as I'm receiving these, refunds. And when I got my emails, took a couple hours for it to come back. I had just fully integrated this activation energy. I was like skimming the pool outside as well. Water has been a great healer. Now, the irony too is that sinus spray, seawater, and the faucet, where water comes out of, yin codes. The 5D is about embracing the divine feminine, about surrendering to the flow, not forcing it. Surrendering, not forcing. My friend, everything in your life is happening because it is divinely planned, right? And the other message that came through was, the universe is continuing to give back to me in all forms. It might not come directly from the people listening to my podcast or listening to my sound baths on YouTube or even coming to sound baths, right? But it's coming. It's coming from, and everything from Amazon returns to being given free things. I was given a Noritake china set recently, and different styles of Noritake can be very valuable. I have to research it, but I think I'm going to keep it too as a symbol of abundance coming to me because I don't have a nice china set. It's so lovely. And it was just me asking if this person had mugs on a Facebook free group, not thinking that they were these valuable antique mugs, right? You just don't know. You are being supported. You are being protected and connected. And, coming back to the Shakespeare codes, we are no longer listening with the intellect. That is the yang. That is the masculine energy, trying to make everything logical. And that was that X's energy. It was like trying to manipulate me through these mind games. And of course, he would deny it, This person is not coming from the light. They are a moth to the flame. Somebody that says, oh, you have so much light. I love being around you. That's a leech. Pay attention to how you feel in their presence. Pay attention to how your mind, body, and heart process things as you leave their presence. Are they sticking to you? Are they not able to get out of your mind and heart, Awareness is all you need. All you need. So we're really tapping into the yin energy, hence this faucet analogy, and me skimming the pool as I integrated this message, skimming the bugs out of the pool, right? Cleansing the water, cleansing myself, realizing I am already that. I am enough. And that awareness of that dirty energy, okay? And I'm not knocking anybody saying they're wrong and I'm right, It's not for me to tell somebody they have to do work. It's not for me to tell somebody how to make their life decisions. And my life decisions really have no weight on you. And if it does impact you, that I'm choosing to, travel and live my soul's mission by living in different places, whether it's through house sitting or other mediums, if that irks you, there's something that's being triggered in you. My decisions really have nothing to do with you. And that's what the codependency clearing, the empathic narcissist clearing reminds us of. And I had that reminder yesterday too with this beautiful brother that popped up on my Facebook. Without going into too much, his story was, he was imprisoned wrongly for 20 years for a murder, African-American guy. And he had to go through that process of freeing himself. And he really does embody these freedom codes. Really beautiful soul, speaks high truth. It's like, when I got out, people were telling me, oh, I should do this, I should do that. That was like, you should go to school, you should do that. That was for them. I had to follow what was for me, and I really had to learn. And this is the self-love piece. Live for thyself. To thine own self be true. I have tingles all over saying this. This is something that I am continuing to learn and relearn and reconnect with. To thine own self be true. I am not living my life for anyone else. When I start to become true to myself, I do start to embrace that Mother Teresa energy. Not the Mother Teresa that starved herself, but the mother that, let's say, call in Teresa, the Teresa of the Roses. I think that's Teresa Avila. I have so much to give that I can shower that upon others, right? I have embraced my rose and now I have learned how to grow a full garden, right? So now I can share of my full garden. And I want to. The more I fill my cup, the more energy I have to share. I'm sharing this podcast from a full cup right now. I'm not recording this because I feel depleted, because I need something from, from my audience listening to it. I don't know if anybody's going to listen, right? I'm putting this out into the quantum. And even if one ear listens to this, it's going out into the quantum field. It's impacting the collective. There's water analogy again, like throwing a coin in water. Ooh, major sweats on my left armpit now. And those ripples, the ripples that move out from the center of where that coin plunked in the water, right? It has an effect on the whole collective consciousness, okay? We are connected, protected, and divinely protected. I'm looking at my dog friend right now who is trying to take my sock. That's funny. Sometimes, so I guess the final message is here. No, you have to create a boundary, right, Jake? Sometimes we have to say, no, you cannot take my energy right now. We are protected and connected. And part of that is learning to use our voice and saying, no, I'm not going to engage in this conversation with this person right now. I feel drained. And you don't need to give them an explanation. And I'm adding on to this from the previous podcast. And it is interesting because my podcast is called the 5D Codes because I'm talking about how to live in this new earth that we're co-creating. And I'm sharing pretty grounded information, aren't I? I'm not going into the woo-woo, Pleiadian stuff. Maybe not yet, haha. But this comes from grounded spirituality. This comes from learning how to be this divine essence, right? This star energy in this human body. And that means learning how to relate not only to others, but to yourself. And it really is all about you. It's all about you, boo. You and God, you and source, you and the universe. I am not here to tell you what to do. I am here to share my story, and I have no expectations of you, and your decisions have no bearing on me, just as mine have no bearing on you. And if they do, because we are all mirrors, look within, to thine own self be true, and look at when a trigger comes up, we're not being true to something within ourselves, right? So if somebody's decision irks me, here's one that comes to me, to move, because I really want to move back. I want to move to California. And I had a friend that moved to California several years ago, and I remember feeling so jealous of her, so envious, and I couldn't process why until now. I'm like, whoa, that's because that was a decision. That's a decision my soul wants to make, is making. And how that all unfolds, well, we'll see. Stay tuned. But when you feel drawn to do something, and let's say somebody else, does it first, and there's a jealousy, okay, look within. How is that telling you how to be more true to yourself? Because you're not going to do it the exact same way they're doing it, right? That's obvious. But they're showing you the way. They're showing you some of your truth that maybe you've been ignoring. So bless the triggers, bless the decisions that other people are making that are irking you to no end, and be true to yourself. Settle into the iambic pentameter of your being. There is no one on this planet that is like you. And that is truly, truly your superpower. And embracing that as if you're floating down the river, going with the current, settling into that full yin energy, is the 5D way. If you want to hear a song that talks about 5D codes, listen to Let the Sun Shine In, Age of Aquarius, from the beautiful musical. It was a musical, right, in the 70s, Hair. I never saw the actual musical, but I love the soundtrack. And that song, Let the Sun Shine In, Age of Aquarius, or is it called Age of Aquarius? Either way, it talks about the sun codes, and it talks about all this stuff, right, in a lyrical form. It's a fun code. And I'm looking down, because there are no coincidences, at a silver dollar that I found in the washing machine. So here's another abundance symbol. And I love that, money, this is something I've had to dissect, because there's money codes connected to this message as well. You're learning how to embrace your abundance, just like I am. It says, in God we trust. And that's another matrix deception code. Yes, we trust in God, but money is not our God. The reason they put that on money is because it's meant to trigger the subconscious mind, right? It's meant to shift our neural pathways. So we look down and say, oh yeah, this is my God. Money is just one form of abundance. In God we trust is the message. You are the abundance code. Your energy is your abundance, and nobody has a right to manipulate that, contort that, control that, use and abuse that. It is your choice on who you give your energy to. So thank you for sharing your energy with me and allowing me to share my energy with you as I share this beautiful activation. I'm looking out at the pool in the Catskills right now, and the water just glimmering in the sunshine and rippling gently. And that's such a beautiful reminder of our consciousness. We are water. We are very affected by what we are constantly embedding in ourselves. So as you go about your day, stay conscious and connected. Are you feeding yourself? Are you filling your cup? Or are you giving from crumbs? Because that's how you were trained to give. Only you know, and together we all continue to grow. I love you. Until next time, this is Sarah with the 5D Codes podcast. Ending at 44 minutes. There's our 44. Yes, pay attention to that number, my love. Now 444. Bye.